Gaming NBS episode 214 coming to you Wednesday, October 24th, 2018. Welcome to Gaming NBS, Tabletop RPG Podcast. I'm Sean.
And I'm Brett. Welcome to the show, folks. Welcome back. Glad everybody's here. Sean, how the hell are you, man?
I am all right. Brett, how are you?
Not bad. So, Sean, you recently lost a pet. You lost your dog, Tuck.
I did, the 15th of October.
That sucks, dude.
Yeah, that was hard on my wife and I because amongst the obvious, but I didn't realize. So he had heart issues for a long time, for probably a year and a half, 2 years.
Oh, yeah. I remember talking to you about this. This was some of the reason, like at Gamehole County, like, hey, I got to jet home. My wife's busy. I got to give the dog meds, do this, that, and the other thing. So
right. And I'm the only one that could pill him. And he was getting a huge cocktail. And right before he passed away, he had pancreatitis.
Oh.
Which had 3 more pills on top of that twice a day. So he's probably taken, I mean, no lie, probably 20 pills a day.
Jesus.
Yeah. And we took him in. He wasn't feeling well. I thought, well, they'll fix him. He'll be fine. Like it's his heart that's going to be the issue. And unfortunately, I guess he had cancer throughout all his body.
Jesus.
Especially in his GI tract so the story the vet gave us was, imagine your intestine being the size of a quarter. He had a mass blocking his intestine that was 4 times that size.
Oh, that's not good.
So, of course, nothing's going through there, and that's a whole problem. And so we did that. We also got another dog as of yesterday of this recording, which would have been, we're recording this on Sunday, the 21st. So on the 20th, we adopted another dog, a younger dog, trying to see if she can get along with our cats.
So far, so good?
So far, so good. She's, I think, a coonhound, so she probably wants to chase him a little bit every once in a while. But
run him up a tree, bay him. That's good.
Yeah, she doesn't bay or bark. I mean, she's barked at like a Roomba that's come after her.
Well, it's because it's a fucking... the dog's smart. It's a robot. The robots must be destroyed. We all know this, Sean.
Yeah. So... Oh, my wife's already yelling at upstairs.
Just like old times. Yelling at the dog.
Yelling at the dog or the cat. I don't know what's going on. So, yeah. I told her, if all hell breaks loose, then interrupt me so that there isn't any blood all over the place. But yes, yep, that's the biggest news in my personal life. What about you, Brett? Bagged a deer?
Yeah, I got an archery deer, which was really cool. It's the second archery deer I've ever gotten. I have only been really pushing in the archery hunting stuff for the last few years. It's been really rewarding. I really like it. It's a lot of fun. So I got a nice fat doe. It's very yummy. Already had some. And my youngest daughter got the lead in the little local play going on here in the town I live in. It's a Wizard of Oz Christmas thing. So she gets to be Dorothy. So she's all ecstatic.
Thespian, lots of lines.
Yes, which she's ecstatic about. When she'd found out when she was younger, she was interested, in theater. And my wife, of course, says, well, your dad did theater in college. Really? So then I tell her all the theater stories I have. I didn't have a long storied career like my buddy Lenny or anything. But that got her excited. So it was kind of cool.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, so this will be the 3rd play she's in, her first one with any real speaking part, and she's the lead. So we'll see. She loves being the center of attention. That's my little girl. So I don't see her being shocked or afraid or scared of anything. She'll just eat it up as well.
For those that have met Brett at a con, does that come as a big surprise?
Oh, geez.
Oh,
geez.
Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Except for
that one.
Except
she doesn't
for AJ.
Swear that much. She doesn't swear that much.
Except for AJ. He can't see shit in the woods. So
no,
not a big hunter, that guy.
Oh, he loves it. He loves it. He just can't see anything. It's maddening. He's turned it into a joke now, so it's funny.
Has
you
he?
see that? I don't know, Dad. I can't see where the bus is. That's hilarious.
That's awesome. Kid. That's awesome.
So he owns it. It's fun.
Yeah.
All right, man. I guess we should random encounter sucker.
Yeah, we should,
talk
Brian.
about gaming because no one gives a shit about our personal lives.
All right. Oh, so we got a voicemail from DM Kojo.
Uh-oh. This could be either good or bad.
Well, here we go.
Buckle up.
Hey guys, it's DM Kojo. Hey, I've really enjoyed some of the last few episodes you guys have put out. Some really interesting topics. I was particularly interested in the topic of mapping. As someone who came up in the old school, mapping was something that we always did, and my gaming groups of adults have typically always mapped, even in our more recent games. But also when I run for middle school kids, they don't map at all. And when they choose not to map, I do suggest that they might want to do that. And when they don't do it, and they need to find their way out of the dungeon, if they can't retrace their steps and they don't have a map to go on, then they wander aimlessly. That's the consequence of not mapping. So I don't require it. I recommend it. I think that it's part of the experience for me. And so I will sketch things, what a room looks like if it comes down to it, if it's an odd-shaped room or if it's something confusing. But otherwise, I typically just describe it. They're expected to map it if they want to, and if not, they just bear the consequences. All right, great topic. Keep it up. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Whew, that wasn't too bad. Coach was a sharp dude, so I'm like, we might have hit a nerve or we may have done well. One of the two. That's cool. I ran into my son AJ and I. Speaking of my boy AJ, we're out doing some shopping on Saturday, and I had to get some 2x4. So I'm at the local hardware store, and in the process, we run into his buddy Aiden's dad. And Aiden, I'd forgotten. I know I run games for Aiden before at either the school gaming club or on AJ's birthday. His dad says, "Do you run Pathfinder?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, Aiden's dad used to play like back in the 90s." I said, "Yes, I've run Pathfinder before." And he says, "Oh, I bought Aiden the beginner set and I've been running a little bit for him." So he's telling me the story about how he's running. He wants to get Aiden to do something more besides just video games. And he very, very subtly and very nicely gets me to commit to running a campaign this winter. I'm like, oh, apparently I'm running a game for my son, his buddy, and his buddy's dad. So that's going to happen this winter. But we talked about mapping specifically and how because he likes using miniatures, and Aiden likes miniatures, and so does AJ. And they like the little grid movement. I'm going to have to go back to the Office Max and pull out a big 1-inch square grid sheet and go back to mapping again. But yeah, that was interesting.
So what you're going to run a winter campaign for them?
Yeah, some
5e
Pathfinder
or
Pathfinder. That's what they want to play, Pathfinder.
Pathfinder, going back.
I'll tell you, man, I have decided, I can't remember if this was John Wick or somebody else that said this, but there's a certain point when if your group likes a game and you really seriously have no problems with that game, you might as well just fucking run it.
Right, true.
I mean, I can kick and scream and say, no, I want you all to play, no, we're going to play, Invisible Sun, kids. That's what we're going to play. And they're like, I don't want to play Invisible Sun, Dad. Too bad. They're not going to play it. They just don't want to. They just don't. It's not going to happen.
I don't think that's what's wrong with today's youth nowadays, Brian.
They don't do what they're told. They don't take their game and like it. God damn it. This doesn't happen. But anyway, so and I think I've mentioned this on the show. Even my home group, I've looked at them and I'm like, you guys want to play Pathfinder again, don't you? Well, we really like 5e. I just wish it had more Pathfinder stuff to it. Well, kind of like the feats and the thought. You want to play Pathfinder? Well, don't fucking lie to me. You all want to play Pathfinder? Fine. I'll run a Pathfinder game. I don't care. So it's coming back. It's coming back full circle.
It's coming back,
anyway.
Ladies and gentlemen. All right. Thanks for the call.
Absolutely,
Kojo.
Kojo. Thanks, man. Hey, Kojo, I don't know if you're coming to GameholeCon. If not, we will definitely see you at GaryCon. You're coming to GaryCon, aren't you, Sean?
I should be at GaryCon, yeah. I hope
Very
so.
cool. You know what we completely forgot? I'm going to have
No.
to skip. We've completely forgot announcements. We did not even talk about announcements.
No, he didn't.
We totally missed it. So you guys know about EverCon. You know about GameholeCon. I don't give it. Push the cons aside. Push them aside.
Yeah. We already talked about that.
So I sat down with Phil and Chris from Encoded Designs and, of course, Misdirected Mark fame. And I've got Bob Everson, the editing machine, going through all my Avalon stuff because my Avalon Kickstarter is going to happen this December. So the preliminary, all the documents are written. I've handed them all over to the Encoded crew. Everson's cranking through it. We got John Arcadian hunting down artists and all that good stuff. We're putting together the plan, what the book's going to contain, what extras and goodies that go into it. So yeah, it's coming. It's going to happen this December, early mid-December.
Early to mid-December.
Actual date in December to be determined, but it will happen. So I'm very happy.
You're going to be hearing a lot more of this, and I'm saying it right now in the recording because Brett has told me that he brought it up one time before, and I shushed him.
Yes, you did. You shushed me. You said, Brett, unless you have a date and like you know what you're going to produce, nobody wants to hear about it.
Well,
so I cried a little bit and I drank a lot. But now I've gone through some harder therapy and I've decided I'm going to confront you bully. I'm going to take this down.
I brought it up tonight.
I know
said,
you did.
Brett, why the fuck are you not pimping Avalon every goddamn episode? And he's like, because you told me I couldn't. And I'm like, now, in fairness, I probably didn't think it would be wise if you were doing it in January. And
yes.
Kickstarter wasn't going to be until December.
No, it was
shit, man. I mean, you could have started.
It's the perfect storm, though. We just had the conversation Wednesday this last week, so it's the perfect time to bring it back up. So I'll tell you right now, next episode, we're talking about Avalon. We're going to go through what I'm doing, how it's happening. And I've never done a Kickstarter before myself. Now, Encoded has run them and successfully done so. So I have faith and we know what we're doing. But it's kind of my first go at some of the stuff. So I thought, we'll talk about all that crap next time.
So what Brett is saying is that the Kickstarter details and how to run one, quote unquote, run one is not Brett.
No,
Brett's going to start talking about his goddamn product.
Yes. That
he's going to be bringing to the masses, that he's going to tell you why it's so great and how it differs from different settings and what's unique to Avalon.
Yes. This way, all 6 of the guys I normally game with can buy the book. So that'll be great.
Well, hey, man.
or maybe Sean will buy one too. We all know Sean doesn't even go to my gaming convention, so I don't even think he's going to buy my book.
This is how far I'll go. Brett may say, hey, Sean, you don't have to buy one. I'll comp you one. And I'll be like, no, Brett, I'm going to support my partner in crime and I'm going to buy one. And maybe I'll buy one at the highest level. Maybe Chris will put out like $1,000 like level where I get to game with.
You promising that?
The author of the
that's
setting.
What you're doing. If that's what you're doing.
Well, I don't know if I can afford that shit, but
you did just get a dog, so I'll be lenient. Anyway, enough of that. Let's go back to the random encounter. Talk about random. We jumped out. We jumped in. We're back out and back in.
Well, the beauty of editing is I may be able to fix all this.
Yeah, but then it'll feel artificial. This is more real experience.
Oh, fair.
This is more like this is how we work.
This is more accurate.
This is much more accurate and true to form.
All right.
You read the next one.
I will read this voicemail. So Jason emails us about maps. Just listen to your episode on maps. Great topic, gents. It was also fortuitous timing. I'm running our group's last session of Curse of Strahd tonight. I was struggling with how to present the castle, which is ginormous and very complex. To solve this, I placed the architect's plans in a certain higher level dungeon in the campaign. Now when the group gets to the castle, I'm just going to throw the poster map on the table. This way I don't need to give cardinal directions for over 80 frickin' rooms, and to Brett's point, they get to see the pretty map. I also think it will speed play and perhaps make it possible to wrap the castle in 1 4 hour session, probably.
1 4 hour session, yeah.
We'll see how it goes. I'm also taking a unique approach to mapping at Gamehole Con for my Isle of Dread games. It involves a large hex map with lots of blanks, plastic coating, and lots of colored markers. Should be interesting. Yeah, thanks, guys, and keep up the great work. He goes on, so I followed through with my plan even though it went against every grognard bone in my body. All my players heartily approved, and I think I will do that every time going forward. I have a gigantic poster map of a dungeon.
Nice.
When it comes to like maps, if you got it already done and you can just throw it on the table and not have to draw it as you go, that's the way to go.
Well, I'll tell you the cool thing about Strahd, and I have seen the Strahd's castle. I've played through Ravenloft, and I like this idea, Jason, of having, hey, here's the architect's plans, here's the castle, and you can flop that map out there. You could print out. You could even make changes to it, right? If you have, you don't even need mad Photoshop skills, you could just take paint or something, just edit it or smudge things or make it a little blurry to add some add some mystery to the map itself. But there's no reason not to do something like that, and especially in that setting, it seems to fit, right? Where you've got going through the Curse of Strahd adventure myself, all the different bits and pieces, it fits that Gothic genre in my brain anyway, that, hey, I found the thing and here's a map of it. Boom. We will reference this as we go forward. That's a pretty cool idea. I like that. And again, you get to see a pretty fucking map. So that's pretty nice. Very cool. Good job, Jason. All right. So next up we have Stefan Dragonspawn. Map making stuff. Hello, sexy BSers. It's been a while, but I'm still a loyal listener. Well, Stefan, we never doubted you. We know you're there. Okay, he says, about episode 212 concerning maps and those who create some really good ones, I'd like to mention a friend named Zovia. She creates some excellent maps available digitally, and she's expanded to drawing modern and sci-fi maps as well as the ever-popular fantasy genres. You can find her under two patron names, Zovia's Fantasy RPG Maps and Zovia's Sci-Fi and Modern RPG Maps. Check out her work. She's amazing. We'll put some in the show notes. You can see it's Zovya. Zovya.
Yeah, they're going to be in die roll.
They'll be in die roll, so you guys can check
notes.
it out.
Yeah.
Keep up the great work, and Sean, only a few months left in the year to Kelly. Enjoy it while you still can. And again, links in the die roll.
Yeah, I got to really ride this one out because who knows what 2019 is going to have in store for me. Could be bad news.
Yeah, I think, and we'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do to end the year of the Kelly in some sort of a celebratory drink fashion. We'll see what we can do.
Oh, boy.
Next to you, sir.
John from Cali. So please disregard my first unedited letter. It is less readable. Disregarded, John.
John, just as a note, you should see some of the show notes I slop out there for Sean. Sometimes he's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Don't worry, man. Don't worry.
Yeah, I don't even look at Brett's notes. They confuse me. I have been listening to your podcast for a while and have thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you. And thank you for retaining your sanity.
Well, he has enough sanity left in order to write this. He could have easily taken a 2d10 sand loss, been at like a 90 sand, could be down to 70, still able to move. It's all good.
Touche. There have been many topics that I have been tempted to you about, such as when Sean talked about how to make losing sanity, ironically enough, more fun through role-playing, or how tough it was when Brett had trouble with his long-standing gaming group. Been there and it sucks. However, I find myself writing about clerics and healing of all things. Let me rephrase that. I find myself writing about clerics and healing of all things. If in a combat-based game like D&D, and no one wants to be a second-class fighter coupled with a non-combat spellslinger cleric, I do not see that as the player's fault. Yes, you can make reasonably effective clerics, but even if you do, everyone is going to want you to take healing spells, and that gets old. Being a support character can be fun, but it's not for everyone. If a game presupposes that there is going to be a healer in most groups, that is a game design problem, not the players. I know you guys were joking around about too bad for the characters if no one was a cleric. Also, I rather doubt either one of you would want a player to sacrifice their fun so that a group has healing spells. So, what's the whose problem is it then? The DMs, of course. It's their job to factor that into the adventure. Give the group more potions and healing magic, or just drop a NPC cleric into their midst. If this makes the game more fun for everyone, that's what I want. And this should be the first job of a DM's. That is, bring to the fun. A close second is to avoid play whining, which factors in too. Oh boy. Changing subjects. What are your thoughts about what is the best online platform for role-playing? And how do you deal with a large group of high-level D&D characters in regards to face time and combat length? I am not running it, but my group is in the Temple of Elemental Evil and nearing its end. We play a couple times a month on Fantasy Grounds. It's been fun, and the DM has done a good job, but man, combat takes almost all night, so there's a little chance for FaceTime. Do you guys have any suggestions I can bring back to my group? Thanks, John from California.
Sean, have you ever used Fantasy Grounds?
I have not. It's a Windows-based platform where somebody's yelling at me right now going, it's Java. And I'm like, yes, it's in Java. So you have to, like, if I ran it on a Mac, it's going to take some adjustment.
Blah, 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 application talk, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'm an infrastructure guy. Come on.
Well, it's not, if you got a Mac, I know a lot of people may not be playing it because of that reason.
No, fair. I mean, I've used Roll20 when I've gamed with you online. We've used Roll20. Interesting.
So best is going to be relative because I think everybody's going to have an opinion. So I'm always weary of saying, well, this is the best and this is the worst. Because we could say, here's Roll20 and here are the features. And somebody could go, those are the best for me.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is you've got to try them. And that's I've yet to try Fantasy Grounds. So I think I'd like to try it just to see, oh my God, this works, or oh wow, this really sucks. I've also played over Google Hangouts with no die rolling, except on my desk, and nobody bats an eye at that. We've the misdirected Mark crew. Let's see. I shouldn't say crew per se. It's me, Kevin, Tom Flanagan, Andy, and Sneezak. When we are playing, like in my original Avalon game, we're playing Avalon right now, where Kevin's running. We use Roll20 basically for character sheets and dice roll speed. So all the dice rolls are online, but otherwise we end up using a Google Hangout for recording purposes and for video chatty back and forth. So that seems to be working fine for us. It's goofy because I think you're right, Sean. It's hard to say, oh, this is the best one. I think what it behooves us to go out and try and find different things that work. I don't know if the complaint that John has around the combat taking forever, if that's a Fantasy Grounds problem or an online problem or the Game Master / group problem. Right. Don't know.
There was somebody that did a review of Roll20 recently because they launched, maybe it was older because I think Hobbs corrected me and said, hey man, Tomb of Annihilation's been on Roll20 for a while. But this person I'm talking about did a review because Tomb of Annihilation was launched on Roll20. So they did kind of the review of Roll20. And one of the things that they mentioned was the voice chat and video can be a little wonky. So they've opted to use, I think, Roll20 and then Discord for voice.
Okay.
So I know, and I think they also mentioned that they were hoping that they would get a virtual tabletop that would do combat much more fast, expeditiously, where I think it would calculate everything like at the snap of a hat. Like you would just click go and it would just resolve stuff. Right. So
like in Roll20, if you click on your attack, it'll roll the die and tell you the damage.
It does, but it's very okay. I gotta wait. First of all, you gotta have players that know the interface.
Oh yeah.
And some of them are like, nah. I hear some people are like, man, I run on Roll20 every day, all day, and all you gotta do is just click the button next to the thing you're wanting to roll. So if it's a
how goddamn hard is this?
It's how hard is it, right?
Someone's yelling at us.
I'll tell you what, I'll get my buddy Jeff on there and everybody can coach him on how to use Roll20 because I guarantee he will make it as difficult as possible. I don't know what I'm doing. You're like, Jesus, Jeff, just click on the stupid button next to strength, right? Whatever. Anyways, I don't know of any. Actually, RPG tools have macros that allow you to kind of build, and so does Roll20. But I think RPG tools does even a little more. So you can actually custom write macros where you could write a script for initiative, and it's going to take everybody. It just clicks, and then it displays all of it.
What would be this is one of those things I think where we threatened to have a show about online gaming, and I think some of it is like I use Roll20 because it's free and I just get in there and I do stuff. And I've used, like I said, the Google Hangouts and Fantasy Grounds out there and so on. And I think we almost need to, Sean, this might be something you and I got to do like for homework on the side, is try to find somebody who's played a number of different platforms who can speak intelligently about them so we can chat it out. I don't know.
Well,
There's
yeah.
just so much of it's trial and error. I mean, it really is. And that's the interesting piece with a lot of with those online tools. You have to, like you said, your buddy Jeff, you've got to put the time in, man.
Right.
You know, I don't understand how to use a Mac. You got to put hours in, dude. Put your time in. I don't understand how to use Linux. Put your time in. You got to figure it out. You have to put effort into the thing. Intuitive is great, but it's not. What's intuitive for me is not always intuitive for everybody else.
Well, and how do you define tabletop? I mean, do you want to use a virtual tabletop, or do you just want to use
A die roller.
or not even a die roller? Do you just want to use Skype so you guys can hear each other? Like, when you're sitting at a table, when you're sitting at an actual table, the only thing that you as a game master or that you are partaking in is rolling the dice, looking at your character sheet, and looking up the rules. Maybe you have a map and some miniatures, maybe, but a lot of it is, as a game master, all I'm doing is conveying the scene and asking what the players do, and then I roll my dice.
So when I ran the Streets of Avalon game, we used Roll20 and there was no map. I only used it to have, I had images of a lamplighter, I had images of what a street looked like. It was all very just, evocative art was all I used. Otherwise, it was all theater of the mind. And that's what Kevin's doing now. And that's what Tom did when he ran us through his Dresden Files. And even Andy, when she was doing her Avanti setting and such, we had some maps when we got dungeony, but otherwise in Avanti, but otherwise it was all theater of the mind.
Which goes to maybe you just need voice and a virtual whiteboard that you can just throw crap down on.
Yes.
So it all depends on what you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I'll tell you what, though, John, to go all the way back to what you first started talking about.
Yeah.
A design. Yeah. The game presupposes that there's going to be a healer in most groups. That's a game design problem and not the players. I think I agree with him. This concept in D&D that you are going to have a healer. Yes. And if you have no one in the group who wants to play one, that's kind of weird that you design. I mean, 4E kind of took that away with different pieces, and even 5E, there's not healing surges per se, but there's stuff that other classes can do that have healing-ish type powers. But there is, in that game, because it's a group activity, there's a presupposition that somebody will help to keep the party alive. Then there's short rests and other mechanical things help keep you alive in 5E game versus some of the OSR stuff.
Look, if you're going to play AD&D, you should have a balanced party that's made up of certain classes.
Fighter, thief, cleric, wizard.
Magic user, please.
I'm sorry, magic user. My apologies.
It's okay.
Yes, you have to have those.
And if you're not, well, do I have to tell everybody they're playing it wrong?
Nah, I think we can just leave that out there, Sean. Everybody knows. Just let it sit. Just let it sit.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I get what John's going with, and I understand, and he's right. We would argue the same point, John, if we were listening to ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Good stuff, John. Thank you very much, man.
Thanks for writing in. Saul, hey, Brett and Sean. Brett had me laughing out loud about his son not seeing a deer. But really, kids are not that good at finding something.
No, they're not. They're terrible at it. They're horrible at it. Anyway, carry on.
Give Brett's blood boiling again. I will point out something on my 15-year-old son's desk, and he will literally scan over the area 4 times and not see what I am telling him is right in front of him. I can't imagine hiding somewhere in the woods where everything looks the same. I would give the kid a bit of slack. Smiley face.
Have given him some slack. Like I said, he's made a joke out of it now.
Right. Also, I must have messed up my typing. My wife's name is not Jolene. It's Jolene, as in the Dolly Parton song, Jolene. I know that Brett is really younger than me and might not know who Dolly is, but no fear, Brett. The song has been covered by the White Stripes. But Miley Cyrus did a good rendition of the song. What is kind of funny, my wife, Jolene, has red hair, like the song says. I
do know who Dolly Parton is, just so you know. I know Dolly Parton.
Yeah. So the name of our podcast is Gaming Perspectives with Saul and Jolene. Thanks for the shout out, Saul. So that is a correction on our part. whether we misread it or Saul gave us a misspelling, but it's Jolene. Jolene. Saul and Jolene.
Very cool.
Gaming Perspectives. So I will have to put in my podcatcher because I probably couldn't find it because I was looking for Saul and Jolene. I don't know what's going on, but now I know.
Good stuff, though. Thanks, Saul.
Yeah, thanks, Saul. Sorry about the mix-up, buddy. All right, main topic. All right, Brett.
So I want to talk about undead and special foes. What I mean by special foes, I'm talking about those enemies, those critters out there. Fantasy's the easiest one to get into, but there's other things that have this problem. Doing level drain, stat damage, right? Lose my strength, lose my intelligence, lycanthropy, vampirism, all of that stuff. I want to talk about those types of foes. And what Sean, I think about them, I remember a lot of hate and vitriol back in the day of saying, "Oh my God, it's permanent. It's so difficult to get rid of," and so on. So let's just let's talk about this because hey, Halloween's like what, next week or something. Let's talk crazy ass damage, man. You ready?
Oh yeah, man.
So, Sean, as a game master, I think it's interesting to have foes that do special damage, something that's non-standard. Instead of whack, 5 hit points, whack, 20 hit points. Something that hits you, trips you, does automatic rending, automatic grapple. Oh no, it drained a level.
Ooh.
Talk about inflicting fear and panic in a player. You go down a level. What?
That sucks.
You can, I hope they brought their brown pants because this is going to get scary, right? As a game master, that's funny. As a player, when it happens to you, not so much. When it happens to the guy next to you, you're like, oh, sucks to be you. But you start looking for the way out. Sean, what do you think? Do you like the non-standard damage stuff?
I kind of do because I'm a little, masochistic like that.
A little sociopathic, a little masochistic.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. But man, it is one where you can
fuck up a party.
You can really do a number, yeah. And some of the additions are worse than others.
Oh yeah. I mean, some of that shit was like you permanently lose 2 levels or you permanently lose a level. And even back in the old days when you had a character that leveling up wasn't all that difficult, if you took your thief and leveled up all the different pickpockets, hide in shadows, move silently, we used to keep, I shit you not, like 3 to 4, we would rewrite character sheets and keep the old ones in a binder with us. Just in case we lost levels, it was easier to pull out the level less character sheet than the new one. So Sean, as a player, when you see that stuff, do you go, yes, that's just the, we're fighting space werewolves. This is just the name of the game. We knew it would be dangerous when we signed on. Do you this special type of damage is non-standard, like auto hits, when like auto grappling or lycanthropy, as I say, or even the level drain and the stat drain? Do you as a player just go, hey, that's just how the game rolls, or do you hate that when you're playing? Just get your dander up.
It depends on what level I am and what I have to go against the beastie, right? Because if I am outgunned, well, yeah, this is gonna suck big time, and
so
you'll
throw the unfair red flag. Is that what I'm hearing? It sucks. Unfair.
I need to get the hell out of Dodge. Like, I'm not an idiot. My player character could be an idiot. I'm not always. I can be an idiot, but not always. Like, man, it's time to go. Like, well, level drain, man. I'm 5th level, and they're doing a level at a time.
I'll be dead soon.
A couple of hits, man, and I'm gonna be vampire toast.
Or if you're losing stats, right? You're dropping con.
Well, then you become worthless almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, just the math to have to figure out. Well, I don't have a +5 to hit anymore. It's now like a -3. Okay, carry the 2 minus a pain in the ass. But as a player, I think I'm with you where it was when that type of thing hits, especially if you're unprepared, or it shocks you. We're like, oh my God, I don't know. Can we damage this? Do we have the strength? How do we fix that problem? Especially if you see it as like unfixable or permanent in some way, it causes players, at least me as a player, to go, Marines, we are leaving. You know, I mean, you're like, yeah, I'm out. You know, just bail. So I think it's one of the ways, if as a game master, if I've ever thought about, I wonder how to make players run away, especially in an old school game. You throw a creature at them that drains something that they can't just get back after a night's sleep. Because one of the first things the player will ask you when you do damage like that, well, how long does strength damage last? The proper answer is, you don't know, right? Because unless they happen to have read the monster manual, they don't know. Or they've never encountered a wight or a wraith or a con-sucking vampire monster from outer space. They've never encountered such a thing. Oh my God, how long does this last? You don't know. So that lets them run rampant, and they're like, "Oh my God, this could be permanent. It could last for days, weeks. I might be out of commission forever. Run away!" So I think it's got a place in causing. It's a one hit, one failed save, can automatically invoke terror in some players. You with me, Sean?
Yeah, and I think they might have softened it up a little bit in 5e.
Oh, just a little bit.
Right?
Ain't it wussy?
Well, I'm looking at Vampire Lord right now. You know, it's he or she is one bad mofo. But
yes,
you know, I don't know with Soul Drain. You know what it does, Brett?
Not offhand. I have to look that back up.
So Soul Drain does 10d6 plus 7 necrotic damage. And the target makes a DC 23 con save, or the vampire or the vampire regains hit points equal to the necrotic damage dealt. All right, just as a standard, they say as a hit, you know, in 5e it says you can roll the damage or you can just take this fixed number. The fixed number is 42. So the player character's total hit points, regains, so the vampire gets those. In addition, if the target fails the con saving throw, the target's hit point maximum is reduced by the amount of damage dealt. Ooh. So if you're a 100 hit point character, boom, they hit you for 42 damage. Now your maximum is 58.
Not so good.
58. Boom, that's your max now.
That's the suck.
And then if the hit points gained restores the Vampire Lord to its hit point maximum, it gains the excess as temporary hit points. So he can go over his max. And then a humanoid slain in this way and then buried in the ground rises the following night as a vampire spawn under the vampire's control.
Self-sketchy, dangerous.
See, but it's very, roll con save. Hey, I made it. Okay, that doesn't happen. And even if it did happen, you'd take a shit ton of damage. Mm-hmm. But you're also fighting what CR is this thing? Challenge 25.
CRs are for the weak.
Challenge rating. Right.
It's tough, yeah.
But it's a challenge rating 25 baddie. Mm-hmm. So you're going to be pretty high level.
Yes, you should be.
So it's going to be hard to hit you. So I think it's kind of a
wash.
I do think it's kind of a wash. I mean, all right, so he hits you for that amount of damage.
So are you saying you yearn for the old days where you're like, look, you hit that, you failed your save, or it just automatically drains your levels?
Yeah, man.
You like that shit?
That's bad news.
I'll tell you, man, the long term, I mean, what we're getting at is long term crippling types of damage.
Right.
I mean, even if you're fighting the Vampire Lord or a Shadow or a Wraith, or you've got some space creature that, sucks the life out of you, or some weird thing that plants an egg in your chest that will erupt later on. It's long term. It's horrible. It's going to kill you if you don't do something about it. There is the fear is that you can't fix it, right? The biggest thing I remember happening is that what happened to me as a player, it's been a long time since I've had this type of creature attack any one of my characters, but as a player, the fear is like, fuck, I don't even know how to fix this. Or the only way to fix it is by a heal spell, which is a high level spell, or this crazy ass remove curse cast by a 10th level mage or cleric or something. It was this, fuck, I don't even know a dude or gal who has this power. Where do I even find a sorceress supreme and beg her to cast this? I don't even know where the hell to find this. I'm just cursed. with this horrible disease, or I will eventually turn into a specter or something. There's nothing I can do about it. That it's almost like this, that type of crazy crippling damage. There is an agency loss that is, you just see slowly ripping away from the players. Like, look, I'm taking your character from you, but it'll take time. Right. So I think there's a couple ways to approach this type of damage when something happens like that. And so, Sean, do you see it as just, I mean, I look at it this way. I've got 3 different things listed here. It's kind of I saw 3 different approaches to it. Like, look, as a game master, even as a player, look at it, go, hey, look, it's just tough luck. Suck it up, kids. This is how the game goes. Or do we see it as like a plot point, right? If there's a monster that does this, or a creature that employs this type of long-term crippling eventual death or permanent type of damage, are we talking about it needs to be carefully considered a plot perspective? And then when it's done, is there assuming you survive, run away, or defeat the creature, should you assume that there's a quest of some sort to go find and cure? Or is it just, another approach? Is there a different mix of that? Or you're like, look, the only way I would throw it at them is if I knew full well that it was a balanced encounter, that I wouldn't do it to the party unless I had a really good feeling that they should be able to overcome it. Does any of that ring a bell to you, Sean? What are you thinking?
Man, I don't know.
No?
Dude, I'm reading Wraith from AD&D.
First or second?
That is a good question, and I can't tell. I think it's from the, I think it's from Monstrous Manual. So it's got to be first, right? How would I tell? Is there a way?
Yeah, give me this. What's the stats?
For what? What do you want to know?
What does it do? Tell me what it does.
So, special attacks, energy drain.
Okay.
The touch of a Wraith does damage in 2 ways. First, the chilling effect of the touch inflicts 1 to 6 points of damage, even to creatures immune to cold. Second, such a hit drains a level of experience from its victim. This includes hit points and all abilities associated with that level, such as spell casting or combat ability. The damage from the chill can be healed normally, but the experience points are gone forever.
That sounds very first edition.
And must be earned again or magically restored.
Wow.
Yeah, and Wraiths are immune to normal weapons. Passes through its body. Silver weapons cause only half damage. Magical weapons inflict their full damage. See, so that's serious.
That's serious fuck
Shite,
up a character
man.
person, man.
Yeah, and they are so hit dice, because that's how they're measured. It's a 5+3 hit die monster with a hit armor class of 15. Hit points, I don't think it's...
So back in the day, first edition Wraith had a armor class of 4. Razor Undead, similar, blah, blah, blah. In addition to the chilling effect of its touch, 1 to 6 hit points of damage. A Wraith drains on life energy at the rate of 1 per hit, just as a White does. Yeah, similar to a Wraith construct. Only by silvered weapons.
Yeah.
Which causes, man, oh, Lord.
He's reading the same shit.
Yeah, I am. I'm just double checking. Damn. Tough.
Yes. 2,000 XP value.
Yeah.
$2,000.
Yeah, and when it's gone, it's fucking gone. When it hits you, it just sucks life away. That's a brutal thing. I remember a buddy of mine, we would be playing D&D. He loved playing AD&D. Schneider would play a thief. He loved thieves. And then we'd be doing something. We'd have a party, and he'd go in there, and he would always attack Schneider with Dave Schneider was his name, and he always attacked Schneider with undead. He's like, dude, Chafe, I'm a thief. There's undead everywhere. I can't find them, steal them. You can't backstab them because really, dude, everything I can't hurt. It was just like this, and it was terrifying. It was absolutely fucking terrifying to get hit by something like that would suck that stuff off of you. My God. So
Yeah.
do you like that? Do you look at that? And go, yes, that's how we ought to do it today.
Oh,
Or
man.
what do you think?
It's no reason they've nerfed the crap out of that stuff. I mean, seriously. How many people would be in our hobby? Hey, Brett,
Yeah,
this made us tough.
it did. It made us tough back.
I'll tell you what, kids, you got it weak these days. You get
Yeah.
saving throws and all this kooky shit. That's not even a save, man. That's just, hey,
No, it just does it.
I'm going to hit you. I'm going to try to hit you. And if it hits you, this is what it's going to happen. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's not good.
And I don't know how easy it is for a Wraith at a 5 hit dice creature to hit you. I can't imagine it's that hard.
A Spectre. Its touch
Ooh.
does 1d8 and drains 2 life energy levels from an opponent. The latter due to negative force. Thus, an 11th level character or 11th hit die creature struck by a Spectre would suffer 1d8 hit points of damage, plus loss in level ability, hit dice, etc. Such loss is permanent. But characters can regain lost levels through continued acquisition of experience points, of
You
course.
start over.
Certain magic might restore lost levels as well.
Well, here's the deal with that, which a lot of people that haven't played that edition probably aren't aware of, is that in AD&D, well, even with D&D, like as you get progressively higher, you have a lot of experience points from one level to the next. So when they knock 1 or 2 levels off of you, you're talking like, I mean, if you're a 10th level person, what do you get knocked down like 20,000?
Well, yeah, that was also a game back at that point when it was the acquisition of experience points. This is a different topic, but it was measured. 5 kobolds equals this. Demogorgon equals that. 5 drunks in tavern equaled this other thing. So, but anyway, excuse me, when we're talking permanent damage like that, Sean, and even in a 5e game, right? So we jokingly, or not quite so jokingly, say it's been nerfed or it's been simplified or it's not quite as bad. There are still plenty of things that cause problems like this, whether regardless of the game you're playing. You look at like Call of Cthulhu or even in Gumshoe City, if you get shot, you're fucking shot, right? In some of the modern games, you get shot, you don't just go to the healer, you're shot.
Wow.
You lost your arm. You were in the hospital. You don't have an arm back. Why? Because it's 1930. There's no one regenerates limbs. This doesn't happen, kids. This is crippling. That's one of the things that makes, a Call of Cthulhu game absolutely fucking terrifying is when you get hurt by the cultist and he stabs you, he fucking stabbed you and you're bleeding. This sucks. You can't just go drink a healing potion. You can't just go apply first aid. You need hospital time for some of this stuff. You are down and out. And I think it's the down and out component of it, that crippling damage, the thing that takes a really long time, or special powerful magics or high-end sci-fi gear just to help you get through it. In some games, like AD&D, it's part and parcel. Call of Cthulhu, hey, you get shot, you fucking dead. You don't get shot. Gumshoe, you get the fuck beat out of you, dude. You ain't getting back up. It's one of those things where I think you need to explain. You may need to explain to people if they've never played this before, just so you know, this is the types of damage that happen, and this is how this type of thing functions. Even if it's not a Section 1 thing, at some point you go, oh, just so you know, y'all get shot, y'all might be fucked for a very, very long time. Or, hey, when the thing drains your sanity, you don't just get that back overnight. You just don't go to the, drink a magic potion of sanity restoration in Cthulhu and get it back. When the Wraith drains 2, or the Spectre drains 2 levels from you, you just lost 2 levels. Like, no bullshit. This just happens. Holy crap. And, excuse me, that's one of those pieces where I think sometimes, I said before, the proper answer, kind of jokingly, kind of not, is, well, how long does this last? You don't know.
Yeah.
But when it's a new rule like this, right? If the first time your character's ever encountered a Spectre, players will take different courses of action if they know something is permanent or really, really difficult to fix. The first time someone gets shot in Call of Cthulhu, and they've been playing D&D or Pathfinder or Rollmaster or Dungeon World or whatever, and they get fucking shot, and it says, hey, just so you know, you now have a minus blah on your rolls. You have this problem, and it will take you 4 weeks in the hospital to fix that wound damage. Holy fuck, we need to leave. We need to not get into any more gunfight. I need to make another player character just to keep the adventure going because they can't be here. I think these types of things. So my general approach is that when I'm going to use something like this, even in a first edition game, I have a plan for it. It's a carefully used thing, whether it be a save or die trap or a special, anything that does special damage like this, especially your monsters. I plant it there. I'm using it as on purpose, right? It's not just a random encounter and so on. So that it doesn't, I mean, it's still completely dangerous, whatever. And if the players don't know what it is, maybe make a wisdom save or check or something to help figure out what it is or whatnot. But it helps to not have that stuff just kind of capriciously destroying characters. Although, again, some people, at least that's Brett's perspective, some people could give a fuck and would just, sorry, capriciously killed your character. That's the way the game functions, and that's just how it goes. So, Sean, given what we just talked about, how would you deploy such a thing? Spectre.
If I was playing AD&D, I'd roll with it.
Too bad, kids.
Yeah, it's kind of the breaks. That's that game.
That's a very good point. Yeah, it's a very good point.
So, I mean,
I kind of talked myself into that at the tail end there, but I think you're right.
I think it's that game. So when you run that game or you're playing in that game, you're going to get probably more magic items. The magic items are going to probably be more prevalent. They're going to carry more weight. There is a certain expectation in that game that's just different than 5e. So 5e, I'd let it roll too. And a lot of it's based around, I mean, I know you're not a big believer in
balance
or the CR rating, but they aren't, when you're going up against a vampire lord and they're a CR 25, you're probably somewhere in the ballpark. So unless Brett's whipping out a vampire lord on first level characters, in which case I'd be like, what in the hell are you doing, dude?
I know they were third, but I just used it to terrify the people.
Well, that's true. You could use it as more of a story-driven device than big bads coming down. I mean, because let's face it, if the vampire lord wanted to eat him, he or she would just do it. But I mean, with a lot of the, you get to roll a saving throw. Okay, well, it's not that bad, right?
To your point, I mean, you look at the Humble Rot Grub has 1 hit point from first edition. Small creatures will viciously burrow into any living flesh. Victim must immediately apply flame to the wound, which takes 1 to 6 hit point damage per application, or have a cure disease cast upon him. Otherwise, the rot grubs burrow to the heart and kill their host in 1 to 3 turns. You either do something immediately or you're dead.
Well,
and
1 to 3 turns
fucking worm.
1 to 3 turns is a while.
You have to have those things done. If you've never encountered a rock grub before, you don't know what it's going to do. 1 to 3 turns, it goes pretty fast.
That's true. It's just sometimes I look back on that stuff. I'm like, how did we ever play that goddamn game and not lose our complete shit on Game Masters?
Think about the number of times you did lose your complete shit on Game Masters.
That's
when
true.
You died for no fucking reason.
You freaking dick!
You did that on purpose. You're an ass.
I can't believe you're throwing a freaking Spectre at us so soon.
But now you kind of, and that was most likely, in Brett's opinion, the genesis of the whole CR thing. You're like, how do you help people figure it out? Because when we were kids, you start pulling things together like, oh, this looks cool. This looks fun. Oh, wow, this monster would be neat. I've never used this monster before. And you pull it out and you go, oh my God, it decimated the party. Sorry about that. Like, here's one from the old Fiend Folio, the Gold Bug, one of my favorites. It's a beetle with a flattened circular body and a golden shell, the size and shape of a gold piece. It's a very sluggish creature and spends most of its time asleep, often choosing to lie on a pile of gold coins as its bed. Only on very close examination will distinguish it from coins in which it lies. You got to describe this to me. There's no rule to find this.
Right.
Thus, it has no treasure of its own. It inhabits that of others. When disturbed, it inflicts a poisonous bite, like that of a large spider, which does 1 to 4 hit points of damage. Who must also save versus poison or die.
Or die.
Your gold coin kills you.
Yep. You reached into your pouch to pay for that beer at the local pub, and now you're freaking gonna.
And now you're dead.
Now you're dead.
Now, I think
that's crazy, man.
To our point, that's that game, right?
Right. That is.
And you look at the game systems, and this kind of goes to the magic items and some of the other things we've talked about. when we've looked back at different variations. And like when you're playing Call of Cthulhu, you're not supposed to get in fights, right? Not especially not gunfights. You are not. You know,
it's a think a man's or think a woman's game.
Yeah, you're not supposed to, shoot, the Shoggoth. You're supposed to run away from the Shoggoth. You're not supposed to kill, the Bayaki. You're supposed to figure out a way to get rid of the Bayaki. That's the point. And in a D&D game like that, there's a craziness and insanity to it. You're supposed to have ways, means, thinking critically, like, hey, I want to poke this pile of treasure. I want to dump water on it. I want to do different, you've encountered it once, you learned as a player, you sort different things out. You see a specter, you either run or you pull. That's where the cleric shows up. He's not just a walking healing machine. She also casts, she also has, the turn undead power and so forth and blah, blah, blah. So this stuff is that style of game. It's really in there. And I think it's when I have seen people online and folks I've talked to say, oh, I want to bring that aspect into my 5e game. It freaks, and rightfully so, freaks people right the fuck out. You're like, wow, my 5th level fighter lost permanently 2 levels. What the? No saving throw? Sorry, save or die. It doesn't really exist in some of your more modern games. But I think even the stuff that is within 5e, and we joke, I don't know another phrase, so we say modern game. But in these types of games, permanent damage or lingering, crippling type of injury where you like, look, you will turn into a lycanthrope by the next full moon. Okay, so I got 30 days to figure this out, right? So when I do something like that, it's usually done as a story plot, or I allow it to quickly become one. So if somebody's lost, if half the party lost half their levels, and they can no longer fight the undead Lich Lord's armies, which are doing whatever, or they can no longer delve into the dungeon, they have to retreat. So when something like that happens, as a game master, I think it's incumbent on us, and even as a players, to say, okay, we have to retool what we're going after. If we were going to the left, we may have to take a pause and go back and clear out that Kobold Warren. Or, hey, guess what? We have to go back to the library and sort this out because Bobby just got bitten by what we think is a were-rat. I don't think she's going to make it. Bobby, how you doing? I don't know. I really like cheese. This is bad. This is really fucking bad. When this type of stuff happens, I think it is natural for the players to drop everything and try to figure out a way to fix that problem. It's a big goddamn problem. Regaining a level, curing lycanthropy, restoring lost statistics, figuring out how to rest, recuperate, and so on when you've gotten shot in a game where, getting shot does incredible amounts of damage. I think that's natural. And I think as a game master, we need to allow that to happen. And when you do that, you encourage the players, to solve that problem. How do I cure lycanthropy? How do I get my levels back? What can I do? Can I go talk to the mage that lives in the mountain? Can I go talk to the dude on the other planet to go sort this out? What I have found is that when I let them do that and I encourage them to go through it and make that kind of adventure-y, so in the process of sorting this out, they start gaining stuff and gaining knowledge and so on, they don't turtle. Because the fear is, as a game master, I've seen it and I've done it, when you wallop somebody, boom, all 6 of you are now 3 levels shorter. Fuck me. They stop adventuring, essentially. They turtle. They go to their safe house. They lock down. They don't do anything. They're like, you know what? We couldn't defeat the Lich King anyway. Let him kill the world. I'm going to the desert. You can help divert the turtle effect and stop them from sucking themselves in like that and help them figure out how to solve the problem that you just bestowed upon them. Even if it's a random roll, I say capricious far too much here, but even if it's just a random encounter and they are hit by a wraith or a specter or a gold bug, it does something horrible, or a rot grub, and you got, oh my God, we have 3 turns. Let them refocus on that problem for a while. Let them role play through it. Let them figure that stuff out. And I think your game will be better for it. And the players will have a less chance, in my experience anyway, of going turtle on you and not popping back out of their shells.
Well, that's why losing a character at such a level or encountering that, or that's why we played like, I'm not going in there. I'm not doing that. It's crazy, so it's nuts.
It is. There's something fun about it though. I think it's kind of that's one of the reasons I still like the old school games, and I still like Call of Cthulhu and the horror games where you don't just get healed overnight. Or if you do, that's not good. That's not good. Your arm grew back. What are you tainted with? Oh, it has a horrible greenish hue and slightly scaly arm. That's terrible.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have drank that serpent man's potion. That type of thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Sean, what do you think about all this? Does this make you want to do this to somebody? Make you want to drag it into 5e and cripple some players?
No,
characters, not players.
Not in 5e. And 5e is a different game. I would run 5e as it is. I wouldn't want to bring those crazier times into this game. I think it's a pretty decent power curve.
So even in your other games, like your modern game, well, Savage Worlds can be pretty fucking deadly. When people are shooting at each other with guns or whatever, you just like, hey, you get shot, you die. Is it just kind of because it's the type of game you kind of roll with it?
Yeah, I mean, there's RPGs that are more lethal, that are quote unquote more realistic than I can understand. I mean, Cold Shadows is kind of like that. You pull out a gun and you shoot an agent, and you're playing a particular rule set. You're kind of done. Or you take wounds. You can take wounds, but they're more lethal, but that's the type of simulation you're trying to, establish and foster versus D&D's kind of nutty. AD&D is more nutty. Like, it's just nutty.
It's a level of nutty that it all fits.
It's amazing anybody levels up in that damn game. It really, and that's why I think some people, when they run into these issues, and because you can be what I would consider dickhead GM, because you could just implement all these crazy, gold
cavern
beetle.
full of specters, lycanthropes, and gold bugs all piled up for you.
Yeah. One after the other, in which case you really are stacking the odds against the player character from even surviving through third level.
So I've never done this, and I just reminded myself of this. I've always wanted to have somebody attacking a kobold warren or a goblin caves. And when they do the murder holes, instead of boiling oil, it's like lukewarm water full of rot grubs. Just showering the party full of rot grubs. I think that'd be a hell of a way to go.
Easy money.
Easy money.
Easy money. And there's the end of your campaign.
And you're done.
What are we going to do next, guys?
What do you want to do next? Wait, where are you going? Okay, come on. You make some, go. Guys, slam. Guys, come on.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, and then never mind another player character in your party that wants to run after that. And then you're the player. Yeah. Talk about, walking on eggshells after that.
Brett, you die. What? You just fucking die. Why? No. A silver piece eats your head. What? What the hell?
Yeah. Good times.
All right, man. So I'm sure we talked around and didn't actually get to a solid point there. I kind of thought we might, but
it's just our commentary.
I do. I do like some of this stuff, and the reason I like it is because of the refocus that happens to a group, where they change and suddenly something becomes a lot more important to them than killing monsters and taking their stuff. Self-preservation becomes a big deal.
Yeah,
and I think if you do it right, players don't turtle on you, as I said, and I think it can be fun. But sometimes they might want to use it sparingly or at least judiciously, lest the table flipping occur. So anyway, you guys got thoughts? Men and women got thoughts and ideas and concepts out there that we missed? Let us know. I'm sure we're wrong somewhere.
Die roll.
I got one.
Do it, Brett.
So there's this rancher in Arizona, Sean. He's selling his ranch.
Okay.
And seems like he's doing he's not too big a deal. It's only about 9.5, 9 and almost 3/4 horse ranch. He's tired of fighting aliens with his samurai sword.
Yeah, I would be too. I'd have to get a laser gun.
Yeah, he claims he's slain 19 aliens with samurai swords, and he and his wife have endured abduction attempts. Yes. Unless you cut the head off, quote, unless you cut the head off and disconnect the antennae, so to speak, they instantly phone home. Even with a razor-sharp sword, it's nearly impossible to decapitate them with one swing, he writes. So, yeah.
You know what, Brett?
This is things.
That's real life X-Files, man.
This is shit that...
Mulder and Scully are down there investigating it, and we will never know.
No, we won't. But this is shit. You read this and you're like, oh my God. Even if it's a quasi joke, as soon as I said that, most of us went, yeah, I could see that. There's some crazy son of a bitch out there who thinks he's doing this. And his wife is insane too. This couple is insane. Or they're doing it as a gag. Yeah, they're doing it as a gag to try to get crazy people to buy their ranch because they're really desperate. Or are they acting desperate really is a thing? So, hey, plot. There you go. Sean, over to you.
The first one, I didn't know if people knew this. This is kind of old news. I think it's from May of 2018, but I wanted to bring it up because I think it's quite an accomplishment for a role-playing game. And it's just something that that the authors and publishers and contributors to Harlem Unbound should be recognized for. So for those of you not in the know, the game itself is going to be housed at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City, the Smithsonian Institute, and Anacostia Community Museum in D.C., Washington, D.C., and Newark Museum in Newark, New Jersey. Now, we'll have a link to EN World's post about this, but as far as some people have said, there isn't any records of like RPGs stocked in museums. Crazy enough. But Harlem Unbound is, or will be, probably as of this recording will be. So
I've heard that they're going to do a second edition or reprint of it. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure that their cover won an award at the Ennies or something along those lines.
So,
I'm pretty sure
yeah.
we talked about it. So it's,
well, they've won 3 Ennies.
Yes, that's right.
Harlem, yeah. So big recognition to Harlem Unbound and Chris Spiver. I think is it Spivers? Chris Spivers. Oh my God.
Good grief.
I better look it up before I can.
Oh yes, the second edition to be published by Chaosium. Yes.
Yes. So Chris Spivey.
Yes.
It's the kind of the mind behind that product. Second edition to be published by Chaosium.
Very cool.
So that'll be interesting. Next one, D&D art is finally getting the respect it deserves. So there's an article in Wired Magazine. I was listening to Wired, the geek show that they have, and they had
how's their audio quality, Sean? Audio quality.
Yeah,
Sorry.
for Wired, I thought it would have been a lot better, but that's just me.
Anyway,
but it was a good a gentleman that was on there, and I apologize, I don't have their names. I think it was a Mr. Whitwer, and I can't remember the other person, but it was the one of the people that were involved with the Arts and Arcana book that's out, and then also a documentary on the art of D&D. So, but anyways, I think that's probably listed in the article if I'm not mistaken, and it's probably where the podcast derived from. Cool. Anyways, my third one, Dreams in Gary's Basement, a documentary on Gary Gygax, which is a Kickstarter by my buddy, Pat Kilbane. It's already been funded, and it goes until November 15th, 2018. If you want to grab a digital version of that, I'm sure Pat and the crew that worked on that would be appreciative of that. So check it out.
very cool. Let's see. Listeners hit us up. We had Kev Thu we got a link to some portals in London. Some pretty cool stuff if you're running a book house in London or any game type of thing. And take these type of settings and ideas and you can move them anywhere you'd want. So it's some pretty good stuff. So thank you, Kevin. Always good. And Zoya's Fantasy RPG or Sci-Fi Modern Maps, as Stefan pointed out. So we got the links down there as promised.
Then Diogo Nogueira blogged about differentiating characters without mechanics. So Diogo listened to our show and said, well, I need to elaborate on this a little bit. So he did a blog entry. We'll have a link to his blog. You can read more about his take on differentiating characters without mechanics. Thanks Diogo for writing that, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. No, I think Shane Freeman posted this up in our group, drew our attention to it.
Yeah,
And,
Diogo should have let us know. Like, hey,
yeah.
I wrote
Dude,
this thing.
hit me.
I'd be like, yeah. So
'Cause
Shane
that was
brought it
cool.
to our attention. Yeah.
It's a quick read, but Diogo, it was well done, and I like it. I like what you did there. So very cool stuff. I strongly encourage folks to check it out.
So thanks to Shane for bringing it to our attention, and then Diogo for writing it up and elaborating a little bit more on something we touched on. Brett,
Avalon next week.
Avalon, ladies and gentlemen. What is all this crazy hype? What is this thing called
Crazy hype,
Avalon?
don't.
What is this thing called Avalon?
Uh-huh.
Brett.
You're gonna try to make it sound better than it is, and I'm gonna feel like an idiot. That's
Come
what's
on,
gonna
man.
I'm teasing.
Brett
It'll be
listen to
fun.
this. Brett isn't always that humble, ladies and gentlemen. Eat it up while you can.
All right. I'll try.
Not you dork. The listeners.
I was born to be self-deprecating, so it's hard not to sometimes.
That's true. Brett is a humble guy. All right. Well, hey, this has been another episode of Gaming and BS. I am Sean.
And I'm Brett. Good night and good game and all.
This episode of Gaming and BS brought to you with the help from the following BSers: Graham Minert, Corey Wynn, Andy Hall, Joe Swick, Brett's biggest fan, Forrest Aguirre, Mark Anthony Benedetti, Sean Nicholson, Tim Jensen, Remy Bilodeau, Jason Hobbs, Wayne Humfleet, James Carpio, Pure Mongrel, Lord Tentacle, Brandon Barnes, Dan LaValle, CW Mellencamp, Lost Sailor, Misdirected Mark Productions, Christopher Gray, Finolf, Mirko Froelich, Eileen Barnes, Tony Sugarloaf Baker, Todd Crapper, With Static, Alexander Auerbach, Neil Benson, Chris Steele, Eric Hoffman, Kyle Winter, Christopher Lang, Curtis Takahashi, Mark Tasaka, Larry Hout, Ron Bishop, Craig Hubier, Xavier G, JV, John Hammersley, The Closet Gamer, John Steve, Mark Richmond, Thomas Hook, Chad Glayman, Sky, Roger Braslett, Craig, Howard Bishop, Jim Fitzpatrick, Peter Skanes, Josh Wallace, Corey Welch, Eli Kurtz, Edwin Nagy, Bruce Cunnington, Tim Shorts, Angus, Rolfer Guild, Gordon Cranford, Eric Salzwiedel, Matt Cyberlick, Jack Neller, Robert Nemeth, Eric Ponce, Palladian, Ron Blessing, Brian Kurtz, Knights of the Night Crew, Laramie Wall, Evan Harrison Cass, Malcolm Cool, Blake Ryan, Jared Rasher, Todd McGowan, Kevin Lovecraft, Perry Besor, and Ray Otis. For ways to support the show, head over to gamingandbs.com/support-us. Thanks, BSers!
This has been a Litterbox Studio production.